Good morning. Hello, good morning, guys and girls. Sorry for the delay. Changed my clocks, but it's battery's not working. Here we are. Good morning. Good morning. I apologize for the delay. Come on in. Come on in. How's everyone doing today? Awesome. Beautiful day. Good morning. Awesome. Once again, I apologize for the delay. I don't know what happened. I see people are kind of cranking in here, so we'll give it another minute. Good morning, Wayne. Oh, in the chat, I'm going to put the your participants guide. If anybody needs it, grab that. All right, give it one more minute. How's everybody doing? How's everybody enjoying? How did everybody enjoy their first week of Ignite last week? Right? Yeah, the whole week. Give me some pointers. What did you find most interesting? Oh, is everybody on? Yeah. Take yourself off mute. Let me know how things are going with your first week of Ignite. 1, 2, 3.5. All right. No comment?
It was, for me, it was enlightening as a new agent, learning how to set up my database, learning exactly what is Spark and use Spare. So for me, it was overwhelming, just learning everything.
That's okay. It's a lot of info packed into a morning. That's pretty normal. I can't see the chat once I go through when I'm on screen share. So if anybody has something that they want to know, just pipe in or ask a question. We want this to be as interactive as we can make it. So it's a little bit as interesting as we can make it for sure. So let's get right into it here. Let me start the screen share. Anybody else have any more comments on what they've learned? I can still see people kind of coming in, but they'll come in. My goal today with this is to get you in and out, not in and out, but just move it along. I know it's a long day. It's a long morning. Mondays are tough. People have a lot of things to do. So today, again, welcome. For those of you who have not met me, my name is Deb Hayes. I'm with the Keller Williams Merrimack Valley 614 up in Westford, Mass. So I've been in real estate for over 25 years. Worked for one company for many years and decided to make the move to Keller Williams. I wanted to be in a learning-based company. I wanted better technology. And I just wanted a little bit more forward-thinking kind of a scene. So I came to Keller Williams 8 years ago, and I moved into the Director of Career Development position about 4 years ago. And I've been doing totally productivity coaching since then. And it's been an interesting transition for me from being on the ground, boots on the ground, day in, day out, doing real estate to really coaching and training. And it's been interesting. So yeah, so today we're going to talk about delivering your value, your what we call your value proposition. Some people have a more unique value than others, so we're going to explore that. We're going to develop yours if you don't already have one. If you have one sort of already in your head, we'll fine tune it. Again, in the chat, I've popped in the participant guide. So you might want to sort of grab that, have it open somewhere, print it out if you don't have it. And because we are going to be going through some things, we want you to take some notes for sure. So yeah, so that's basically what we're going to do. So anybody want to share what they're grateful for so far in the learning journey? We had one person say something. Anybody else have one thing that they want to share after your first week?
Deb, the first week was a little overwhelming, but I just keep coming to class and it seems to get a little easier.
It does. Thank you for sharing. Was that William?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does. You know, this is a learning thing here. This is, you know, you cannot possibly learn 30 years of real estate in, you know, a 2-week, 3-week class. But we're trying to give you as much of a core, you know, how our body is our core, is our thing. And if it's strong, we can do everything else. This is just your core basic stuff. Ashley, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of answer your question.
Yeah.
I feel like it is a little bit overwhelming, a lot of information, but I feel like the fact that we're kind of all doing this together and being able to share and, you know, like our personal experiences and opinions, I feel like it makes it a lot more realistic and I guess easier to deal with. So that's kind of nice.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. When we work together and we learn together, we'll typically, hopefully, do better, right? So I'm glad you shared that. And I like it too. I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to really get into the basics and, you know, make yourself the best you can be. That's all I ever want for anybody in the business. So today, the focus really on you guys and the value you bring to your customers, your community, and the business. We call this your value proposition. I don't know if you've ever really heard that. And in this session, we're going to have the opportunity to define your value, right? So we have our thing here, the old, there's no secret to successful real estate. Here's the secret. There's no secret to successful real estate. And we say that every day because it really isn't a secret. It's just doing the everyday activities that grow their business. As we always want to be growing our business, we say that from day one, and we want to run our business. You know, growing it is always building new business. It always takes precedent over anything else, right? And then we run the business, meaning we're doing the working on our deals and working with our buyers and our sellers. So always growing, right? So we're gonna just do some modeling here and figure out what's the, how do we define all of this? So yeah, so we're going to define your value. We're going to understand the 3 aspects of service. We're going to know and state your value, and then we're going to learn how to deliver our value. So, this is sort of the roadmap. How do we define it? How do we explore these 3 essential aspects of the service that we provide? What can anybody have? Does anybody have a personal value proposition at this time they might want to share? Something very specific that you might want to share. Ooh, my laser's back.
Is there any more context to that? Because, I mean, what comes to mind would be real estate professional services.
Okay, so that's what you do. What specific value do you provide?
May I take a stab?
Yeah, go for it.
So many people have children. It's not unusual. And so school systems is always a concern for people looking at real estate. I happen to have children with special needs and have been involved in the community and have sampled various school systems with strictly with those purposes. And there's a good amount of the population these days that are finding themselves on some IEP in some sort of an individual education plan, some capacity. So people have a lot of questions about the special ed department in some small variety, I suppose.
All right. So it sounds to me like you have a very, what we call a unique value proposition that I certainly don't have. Everybody has something unique that they can bring to the table. And Lisa, right? That was Lisa.
Yes.
You can certainly bring that to the table, and that will be a very unique thing that you can help people with. And that's something that we're going to write down as, one of your unique values.
Right.
So let's see, what we're going to do, we're sort of going to craft a simple and precise description of the benefits for your clients. We're going to clearly convey what you will do to earn the fee that you charge and make your value proposition a covenant. Really, you're telling them what you're going to do. And then guess what? You have to do it. So be careful with your delivering your value proposition. Remember, don't we want to under promise and over deliver, not the other way around, because that can be a little tricky. So how will having prepared your value proposition help you move from leads to contracts to closings? Any thoughts on that? I think the answer is just understanding it, right? So we're going to figure out the 3 aspects of service, right? Did I go backwards? Hold on. Yeah. So basically we have 3 aspects of service. So Gary Keller, doing his old real estate, the MREA book, he noted that and I see this too, every top producing agent he spoke with had a deep and almost inherent sense of service. You cannot grow a real estate business if you don't prioritize your client's experience above all else. A stellar experience is how you earn your commission and get referrals. So we're going to identify these 3 aspects of the service. Know the underlying purpose of real estate, obviously a compelling value prop, and your fiduciary. These 3 aspects will guarantee your clients will have a good real estate experience. So really understanding it. I mean, you guys are just getting into sort of the building of your business and your languages and your database. I'm looking at the schedule of the classes, the doing your database, setting goals, and all of these things. So this is what we're going to kind of dig into today. We should be able to go through it pretty quickly. So let's see. So what is the purpose of real estate, guys? Turning my heater on and off. What is the purpose of real estate? Anybody want to take a stab at that one?
To guide buyers and sellers through the purchase and sale
Right.
safely of their homes, I assume.
Buyers and sellers have the same needs of the real estate purpose, the real estate scene.
Not entirely.
Right. What do you mean, not entirely? So what do buyers want? Let's start with that.
A safe home, a low price. A home that, I don't know, a home that they feel a good value.
The right home, the best price, and the right time with the least amount of headaches, it's very difficult in this market for buyers to do anything without having major headaches all the time, every day. What happens to your clients' buying and selling experience if you don't understand that this is the underlying purpose of real estate? What if you're just running around thinking you're just showing houses and you don't really understand what they need? What do you think happens? I mean, kind of goes without saying. It's like threefold. They get there, but it wasn't in the short time, and it wasn't at a good price, and it's not really the right house. And if you just got them into a house, what is that going to do for your clients?
You're probably not going to get the referral or their business, their business down the road.
Exactly. It really turns into be a bad experience for your clients. And none of you are going to do that, of course. But as you go through in life, you'll hear that some people really did have a bad experience with their agent. And it was probably really deep down that the agent just wanted to sell the house and didn't really care that much about or maybe the person simply just did not know kind of what they were doing. And there are certainly agents out there that aren't trained, and they just kind of go through the motions and they really don't know what they're doing, which is too bad, you know, because it does give us a little bit of a, you know, bad name. As a realtor, what are some problems you might anticipate for your clients? Or have you already, and what have you done to avoid them? Anything?
Lack of houses for buyers.
What was that?
Lack of houses for buyers.
Yeah, that's a problem. How do we avoid that?
Well, you can't avoid the low inventory, but you can write secure offers. You can write good offers as best as you can deliver.
Exactly. Yeah, there's not, we have inventory, it just goes so fast, you know? There, you know, when we may get to talking about that a little bit in terms of, but that really is more in the working with buyers and sellers class, but there are some things that you can do to help it be a little less painful for your buyers. And but yeah, this inventory situation is tricky. The best thing I've heard of late is if you have somebody who can spend 500, show them houses for 4. Don't show them $500,000 homes because they need to overpay, not overpay, but overbid at this time. So, all right, so let's get into it a little bit more. One more time, I'm just going to say your value proposition distills your service offerings into a succinct set of benefits for your clients. It states what you do for your clients to earn your commission and helps to explain the complexity of what you do. It also helps hold you accountable to higher standards. Why is it important to really let your clients know what you're going to do for them?
By its
It shows
clarity.
that
Oh, apologies, William.
Go ahead, William.
it shows your value to the client.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
It helps set expectations. Set expectations about what they can, you know, especially in this market, right? Setting expectations is really important so they get a sense that you really are working for them and your certain things are
It
reasonable in your efforts.
certainly sets expectations. Eric, you had a question or a comment?
No, I was actually going to say exactly what she did. So that was
Yeah.
perfect.
Good. So yeah, we usually have a kind of a loose understanding of how we provide clients with value, you know, value. It's easy to forget that they might understand very little of that value. This is where you can bring it to light so they really understand your skills, your expertise, your insight. But we want to make it in languages that, you know, language that they can understand. Like, for example, we're talking about unique values. Like, for example, you could say you're fluent in English and Spanish, and you may be tempted to simply say I'm bilingual. That's true, but it doesn't really convey the value to your client. By just simply saying a lot of people are bilingual, does it really say the value? What's another way of saying to upping the game on that value, which is unique to many people? We want to, how else could you might maybe say that to make it a little deeper? Ashley.
I would just say this out of personal experience, but like I would say that you know, my family is an immigrant family, so like I kind of understand how it is and how difficult it may be with like language barriers and culture barriers to, you know, find the right home for you, or, you know, believe that you can find the right home. Because like I know a lot of immigrant families who don't think that they have enough money or their credit score is good enough. But, you know, as a professional, you know, anyone can do anything that they want to do in terms of real estate if, you know, they really put in the work. So conveying that I know how it is and I believe in you and we're going to do this together, I think that brings a lot more value than just I'm bilingual.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. You're bringing your personal knowledge to the table because you care, because you've been there, you've seen it probably in your family. Eric, you have a comment and a statement?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of building on what she was saying, but rewording it slightly. You know, you can tell the client, I'm bilingual, and in so doing, that allows me to market your property to multiple communities in the area.
That's exactly right too. And that's another thing, Ashley, you could pick up on that. You have access to a large pool of potential buyers for your home who are often overlooked by other agents. And that's a whole bunch of people, right? William.
Yes, I would tell the client that me and my team are going to guide you through the whole process, from signing the agreement to the home inspection, to the closing, getting the lawyer, and help you through the whole process to make sure it runs smoothly.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So cool. I like that. I lost my notes. Speaker notes. Okay. So yeah, I like all of this. And I think for Ashley, you should really incorporate that in we'll simplify that a little bit too. I think you should put that wording in your marketing pieces and in your just everywhere you go. Make sure everybody understands that you really come from a place of experience that you can bring to the table. So all right, so let's kind of move on here a little bit. Let's talk a little bit, hold on, what buyers want. Okay, let's go here about 9, hold on, kind of lost one of my sheets here. Functionary and fiduciary. Does anybody know what the heck those are? What is fiduciary and how is it different than functionary? Going back
Fiduciary,
to English class here at middle school. Go ahead, Kevin.
fiduciary shows more care and trust for the client versus functionary just sort of gets the job done with the bare minimum.
Yeah, sort of task oriented. Anybody else have any comment on that? I think you just go ahead. Anybody else?
What you're doing and how you do it. I mean, functionary is what you're doing and fiduciary is how you would do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like
or your approach.
Yeah, we're back to school here. Fiduciary is both an adjective and a noun. And, it's an adjective. It refers to something dealing with trust, especially in relationships. If you have a fiduciary duty to your client to protect their best interests during what will likely be the largest and most frightening, experience in their life. As a noun, refers to a person who has a fiduciary obligation. You are your client's fiduciary. Does anybody know the little way to remember what your fiduciary is?
Ford, is that Ford?
Yeah, nope. Ford is a script.
Old car. So many.
Old car. It's right. It's old car. And I have it on my board over here, just as a reminder. So it's obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, and reasonable care and diligence. You can find that everywhere. Google it, print it, put it on your phone, because ultimately anybody can be functionary, right? We are fiduciary. Being a fiduciary really is a big deal, and it's an honor, and it's the more important than ever in today's market to wear this badge of honor proudly. Helping your clients understand your fiduciary also is a big part of your value proposition. Those words can really be your value proposition, but obviously we want to go deeper. What are some of the ways that you serve your clients fiduciary during a real estate transaction? Anybody? What are some ways that you serve as your client's fiduciary during the real estate transaction?
Explaining that the highest offer isn't necessarily the best. I mean, kind of going through that and because obviously the highest offer pays you the most, but that doesn't always serve the client the best.
Perfect, Eric. That's the core of it. What else? What other ways do you serve as your client's fiduciary? Obedience, loyalty, disclosure. What else? Confidentiality. Go ahead.
I'm thinking of disclosure. So I'm thinking of doing legwork, where we have concerns about permits, or those are, specifics, but calling the town to make sure that There are no open permits, doing the legwork involved and advising.
Doing some due diligence. Yeah, it's called reasonable care and diligence. You're not an attorney, you're not a title examiner, you're not a septic inspector, you know, but you do want to use as much care and diligence as you can. So let's talk about your value proposition. Now we're going to look at some data around what clients want. People want things and they need things. So let's figure out our value here. So before we do that though, I want you to look at page 5 on the participant guide. It's just a simple, you can even just write these 5 questions down and you guys are going to take a few minutes and write down your responses. So if you don't have your little book, the first question is, I'm going to dictate, you guys are going to write it down, then write your answers. We'll take 5 minutes or so on this. What words would you use to describe yourself? So just write a few of those down. How would people who know you personally describe you? What skills do you have that make you great at real estate? What experience do you have that make you great at real estate? And consider the 3 aspects of service: purpose, value, and fiduciary. How are these aspects already present in your relationship with your clients? And how could you improve on that? So does everybody have the questions?
Mhm.
We'll just sort of bang around. So let's take about 5 minutes and write your answers. We're going to put together your thing. Oh my God, my clock still says 9 o'clock.
Deb, can you repeat it one more time, please?
Yep. So we have, what words would you use to describe yourself? How would people who know you personally describe you? What skills do you have that make you great at real estate? What experiences do you have that make you great at real estate? And how are, value, fiduciary, and, knowing the real estate market present already in your relationships with your clients? And if not so much, how do we improve? What words, we'll go around the room a little bit here and see what we have to say. I can see people typing and writing. I don't see a lot of people on screen. Makes it a little tricky to. All right, so let's stop screen share for a minute and let's everybody raise their hand if they have some thoughts here. What words would you use to describe yourself? Who wants to give me a couple of words, or just throw it out there, put it in the chat if you want. Or just who wants to say what words they use to describe themselves? Handsome, beautiful. Oh, we got something in the chat. We have kind. Ellen has kind, honest, and empathetic. Love it. Anybody else? I'd work with Ellen.
I care about people and their interest. I care about my clients and their interest.
Yeah, and we'll get into that more too. That's a very, very important part of fiduciary, by the way, particularly in real estate. Professional, connected, and intellectually curious. All right, I like that, Chris. So let's go on the next one. How would people who know you personally describe you? If you weren't in the room, what would they say? It's always a scary one. Kind, smart, kind, and empathetic. Fabio. Responsible, truthful, intelligent, trustworthy, and organized. All perfect things for being a real estate agent. Straightforward. I like that. Eric. All right. What skills do you have that make you great at real estate? What skills? Calm and organized. I like that, Mitchell. What skills do you have that make you great at real estate? What skills do you have? Anybody who knows me knows what my favorite thing is that I want real estates to have is their number one skill. Customer focused, yeah. What's thinking outside the box? That's a fantastic skill. It's a number one skill I'm looking for in a real estate agent. Relationship builder, that's important. We're going to get to that. Conversationalist. Yep. Being able to analyze with eyes and ears and paying attention. Look, I can't, that one went, well, maybe I can go back up. Negotiating, problem solving, loyalty. Listener, that's what I'm looking for. I want people in real estate to listen. You know, that is the secret to being a good real estate agent, listening. That is my secret tip of the day for you. If you're not listening, you're not hearing. You're listening, but you have to hear, I guess. You know, that's a big problem we have in real estate. A lot of people think they're salesy and they have to be talking constantly. If you listen more, particularly when you get into the negotiating piece, that's really where your listening skills come to it, you know, like the highest level there is. So what experiences do you have that make you a great real estate agent? Ashley had some personal experience that helped her be a great agent. What else do we have? What other experiences might you have that help you to be a good? And I'm hoping you guys are writing all these things down because this is going to be your value proposition, by the way. You're reliable. I like that, Juliet. So what experiences do you have that make you great? Any building homes and a firefighter, so I look at homes differently. That's interesting, Ellen. Yep. Your life skills come into play in this business. You're a homeowner. Many years of customer service experience helped me learn how to speak to strangers. That's a good one. You'll be talking to a lot of strangers for sure. All right, so how are these things showing up in your relationships with your clients now? How are these aspects already present in your relationship with your clients? Are you verbalizing these to your clients? I guess is the question. The second question is, how can you improve your service-based? How can you improve this?
From dealing with people, you have to learn how to deal with their anxieties. They can have some anxiety about buying the home. It's the big purchase, and you got to get them through those rough spots. Maybe something didn't work out in the home inspection, or you know, you may have to put another bid in.
Yeah. Negotiations and problem solving is huge. Very, very, you know, you want to be a good advisor. You want to be the, you know, remember this purchase or sale is a very, very big deal for them, and the, for anybody, buyers or sellers, and the, what am I trying to say? The level of their emotions are really, really high. And I think as something to take away from this is always, you can get kind of pulled into that emotional feeling, and you need to, right in the beginning of your real estate business, make a conscious decision not to be that way. The sellers are in charge of being nuts and the buyers are in charge of being nuts. You're in charge of keeping everything moving forward and being the professional and making sure you're not getting involved in that piece of the puzzle, because it's just not going to do anything for you if you do that. So, you know, let's make sure that we're constantly understanding the whole scene and doing what we can do to always be the best that we can be. And then we'll go back to the thing here a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about what buyers want. This is a really, really old slide, but I think it's important to kind of go through it and see if anything has really changed. What buyers want, this thing is, so it says, here you can see the chart a bit, and it's also on page 6 and 7 of your booklet. So what do you think about here? 50% is the 52% the buyers want to find the right home to purchase. Is that true today? Mm. 50% of people want the right home to purchase. I think it's crazy. They don't even get to buy the home they want. They just have to buy a house whether they like it or not. I think unfortunately is the state we're in. Would anybody agree with that? Or is that a bit harsh? Oops,
Agree.
pardon me.
I agree with you.
Also, it says here 14% of buyers want help with negotiating terms. What does everybody think of that number? 14%. I think that's a little bit, I think that's a little bit low. They want help price negotiating. They want to determine what comparable homes are selling for, and they want help with the paperwork. I mean, I think these things are all pretty straightforward. Help find the right home, helping buyers negotiate the terms of the sale. As a buyer agent right now, that's a very difficult task, as we all know, and we want to help with price negotiations. Unfortunately, and it's not going to be like this forever, guys. You know, it will change for sure. At this point, it's a little bit tricky, but and what do buyers value? What do buyers like super value about real estate agents? And I'm not sure. What do you think about this? Reputation of the agent, and the agent is honest and trustworthy. According to it, they're very close, 19 and 16%, which I think is really, really low, frankly. What do they value? Do you think this is right? Reputation of the agent. Agent is honest and trustworthy. Agent is a friend or family member. Agent's knowledge of the neighborhood. You know, what do you guys think about that? Old chart. Same thing with sellers. What do sellers want now? What do sellers want now? Help seller market home to potential buyers. Help price home competitively. Help sell home within specific time frame. Help find buyer for a home for themselves. Help with negotiations and dealing with buyers. So that's coming in pretty interesting, I think, in terms of, I don't know. What does everybody think about these things? Does this make sense? Help sellers market home? That's what they want.
I think in this market, it's less about pricing the home competitively. I feel, you know, a lot of that is now most of the experience that we should bring to the table is mandated on the buyer side. I think on the seller side, the seller often has a pretty good idea that they can get, you know, whatever they want within reason, right? So it's less important, I think, at this time frame.
Exactly, it is. It's a little bit nuts right now. This is why these charts don't really speak, but we'll see how they look in the next couple of years for sure. And then the next one is, what do sellers value? They, according to this, where's my thingy? Sellers value their highest thing, and they want the good reputation of the agent, and they want an agent who is honest and trustworthy. I would love to see some more feedback on, I want to see some updated things to see if that's switched. I think when I see stuff coming out of NAR or even the Realtor board, we're starting to see this honest and trustworthy, really up there, really high. So that's kind of in agents' experience too, and it's lower, but it's popped up a little bit, but that doesn't always do it for sellers. They really just want somebody that kind of knows what they're doing and is super honest and trustworthy, because this is a lot of money we're dealing with. So who would you say are your competitors out there, and what are they saying about their value? Anybody know your biggest competitor in your market? I don't know where everybody is. We're all over New England here, right? Who are your competitors?
Deb, a lot of the competitors in my area are lowering their percentage to 4, and there's some out there doing 3.
Yuck. What does everybody think about that? You sure they're lowering their commissions, or you're just seeing lower co-brokes?
No, they're putting out there 4% and 3%.
I actually got something in the mail a couple of days ago where they were offering listing at 1%.
Wow. So they work for nothing.
Yeah, I don't see how that's sustainable. I don't know, there's got to be more to it, but their little, their card certainly didn't say anything, but that just blows my mind that that's even a marketing thing.
Well, there's always discount brokers. There's always people in it that'll give it away for nothing. And it is not sustainable, but what they do, I don't know where that came from. But certainly it's a competitor for sure. People would love to only pay 1%, but what are they getting for it? Probably nothing. Go ahead, Joelle, you had a question?
Yeah, are those competitors, so for example, on Saturday, I showed a house and it was explained to me that the owner had a limited transaction listing. I think that's what it was called, a limited transaction listing, meaning that
Entry only? Was it called entry only?
not from what I know.
All right.
It was the first time I ever came across this, not that I've come across much, but the owner just basically said, "Guy, go in the house. There's no lockbox. The door's unlocked." Because it was just a house that he bought for $150, cleaned it up barely, didn't abate any mold or the smell or anything.
Yep.
And just got a dumpster for $700 and cleaned it up, quote unquote, and then put it back on the market for $250. So the buyer and I were like, "What? For this? There's no way."
Yeah. What's the wording again? Limited, what was it?
Limited transaction listing.
Yeah, so I would say that is what we call an entry only listing. So there are services, part of MLS, which I wish they didn't allow this, but they do, of course, that you can have a little company. Debbie Hayes is, a little real estate company. And all I do is put listings into MLS. It's called entry only. You've probably seen that out there. And I charge people $500. And they're really a for sale by owner, but it has been put into the multiple listing service. So the seller is acting without any representation. The people sign something that says, "I'm not helping you at all. I'm just plopping it into MLS. You're in charge of letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry come into your home." And for some people that is, I don't know how it really works in the long run, but I've seen them, I've shown them. Unfortunately, the buyer agent has to do all the work and the seller doesn't do anything. So, it's sort of like, it's really just a fancy form of for sale by owner. Has anybody else come across something like that, and how do you handle it? So Joelle, you're working with the buyer, right?
Yeah, we just got a notice, a referral from Realtor.com. My team leader has referrals from leads from Realtor.com.
Yeah.
So she gave me that, and it was good because it was my first showing, and I wasn't nervous because it was only 150, and there was no lockbox, so that made it even easier for me because.
So did the buyer want to buy it?
No, they didn't want to buy it because it was overpriced. They're charging $100,000 more just for taking all the junk out.
Did you do a market analysis to see?
Yeah,
I got paid for it. What?
I did an RPR.
Okay.
Yeah,
What did that say it was worth?
After repair value was 306, but they would have to put at least 100K into it to get it to be livable, probably maybe 75, but still,
So did you yourself do a market analysis, not an RPR thing, a real live, this is what the houses like this are selling for?
Not in that neighborhood. In that neighborhood, they're much cheaper.
Oh,
I know that neighborhood, so.
okay, so they're overpriced. Okay, good. All right, so that's your value. That's what you're doing. You're helping your client to understand that this, even though, it's cleaned up and all that good stuff, it still isn't in the condition that it should be for the price the guy's asking. Would you say that's an pretty accurate statement?
Absolutely.
All right, good. So there you go. Let's there you go. That's exactly what you're doing. So how do you describe what you
Can I
did?
ask one question on that?
Yeah, sure, Polly.
Thank you. So with that entry only listing that she was describing, what do they offer to the buyer's agent? Were they offering anything?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what it was, but thankfully, you know, I think I'll avoid those from now on. Thankfully, the buyer
Well,
doesn't want it.
well, there's a couple of things here. First of all, you can look at the listing, and typically entry only does offer a co-broke fee, you know, a commission. So you'll have to look at the MLS and see if there's anything. So if you see, you just said, if I see any more of those, I'm not going to show them. Is that doing your due diligence of obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality?
No, I didn't say I wouldn't show them. I'd avoid them. You know, like I wouldn't recommend them, because then it would be, I think, also overpriced as well. If it's the same exact transaction, I would avoid it, just because, I mean, I wouldn't avoid telling them about it, but I would tell them, like, this is what you're getting. Someone who's a FISBO, and they're, you know, it's something that they, like, this seller, to me, honestly, it was being greedy, especially in that neighborhood.
Right. So what does everybody think about this? Can we have a little dialogue on this? I'd like to get other people's thoughts on this one. Polly, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I mean, if the buyer saw the listing and wanted to see it and asked me to go see it, of course I would have to, because that's part of my fiduciary responsibilities to them if I'm their buyer agent. And then just try to, you know, be as transactional as I can and help facilitate it to close if that's the house they wanted to purchase. And just make sure I looped in their attorney for everything.
Absolutely. Where are you out of, Polly?
I'm Keller Williams Legacy Partners, West Hartford Market Center, 815.
Okay, Joelle, where are you located with your price point there?
I'm in central Monmouth County in New Jersey.
Oh, boy. Wow. They're really
An
spread
hour
out there.
south.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I said, we're spread out here. We've got people everywhere, which is cool. So, yeah, I mean, obviously these entry only listings, it's part of the business. It's a nuisance. You know, I really certainly wish the MLS would not allow them, but you know, they have the license and they sign up for MLS, they pay, and that's the deal. It does create problems for the buyer agent for sure. It creates terrible, it just makes a lot of work. But again, if your buyer wants it, sounds to me like Joelle, yours, they just didn't like it anyways. It was too icky. And then hopefully they'll be, you know, maybe circle around that neighborhood and call everybody and say, hey, the guy down the street is selling and your house is probably worth, your house might be better. Would you be interested in selling? Maybe try to find yourself a listing, right?
Yeah, we're doing that this week. Yeah, we just have to find out if we need a permit to go door knocking.
Oh, yeah,
I
that
don't think
does.
in that neighborhood, but we're in my neighborhood. Yeah, we probably do. So I'm going to
Yeah.
check.
How do you find that out?
Go to the township, I guess.
Different towns, even in our town here in Westford, I do think you have to apply for something or other, but it depends, you know. I think, yeah, check on that, but definitely scope around that neighborhood and see if you can find something for your buyer. Sounds like you've got a good one there. And when you're on MLS, always check the commission. Don't make that your priority, but you know, take a little peek at it over there on the right and down the bottom, wherever it is. All right, so back to our participants guide, and we're kind of moving along here. We'll be out of here early today for sure. So let's talk a little bit about your, let's get into this. We're gonna craft your value proposition, right? So, you know, the slide here is your technology, of course. Let's create your value proposition here. So you bring your unique, memorable, and you want this to be a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you. It says what you're going to do, how you're going to earn your commission, and holds you accountable to a high standard. On page 12 and 13 is basically a little circle, and it's your value. And there's little things shooting out as your character, your knowledge, your skills, and your service. So let's take a little bit of time and see if we can't put together a value proposition that you would have for working with buyers. Because remember, you never know where you're going to be, and you're going to stumble on a buyer, and you want to be able to tell them what you do. So can we just write some notes and let's try to put together, and we're going to craft your value. So, and this would be for buyers. Ashley, you have a question?
Is this on the workbook?
It's on the workbook, but you can just use a piece of paper. You know, these words that you've been writing down before about, you know, what you bring to the table. Let's just throw some things down on paper, and then we're going to put together how we can explain how we're going to help buyers. All right, I'm going to give you guys about 3 minutes to do that. I'm going to run and do something. I'll be right back. All right. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. All right, guys, let's hear it. Who's put together a little value proposition? What are you going to bring to the table? I'm a buyer. We just met at a cookout. I want to buy a house. How are you going to help me? Who wants to raise? Oh, Christopher is up. Let's hear what you have to say. I'll decide if I want to work with you.
I didn't put it in script form, but the message would be knowledgeable insight into the market, both listed and non-listed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
It just seemed like the biggest one to me.
yep. All right. Who else has something to as their value that they're bringing to the table that somebody else doesn't have, or you clearly any footnotes on the advert? What clarity and process assurance? Who else has something? Who else wrote something down? Let's go. We've met at a cookout. I want to buy a house. What value are you bringing to me? Raise your hand. Eric, let's hear what you're going to.
I didn't craft like a full thing, but I just want to throw one aspect out there that probably everybody in this group can add to their pitch is, you know, whether you're a solo agent or a part of an actual team, you're still a part of a market center team. And so bearing that in mind, you can throw in, you know, I'm part of a market center with over, you know, X number of years experience. I think there's very few market centers that have so few people, you couldn't claim 1,000 years experience if you wanted to, you know what I mean? But I mean, you could dumb it down and say, you know, I'm part of a team that has over 150 years experience combined, and we're all at your fingertips.
Absolutely. I love it. That's so important, Eric, particularly with newer agents who feel like they're just a little bit like, you know, I'm just me. You do. That is a very, very good point. And that's why probably many of you have signed up with Keller Williams, because you do have a lot of really, really good experienced agents around you. So who else has something? And then we are going to work on it as a little bit, almost like a script.
To that same point, I was also going to rely on the team experience, but I've been saying that one of the things I've been saying is that we are in a forward-thinking we're part of a forward-thinking group that has re-strategized, especially our offer packages. And so we are employing best practices that haven't been used before, really. So we, the whole real estate market has been turned on its ear this last year. And so we have considered new strategies.
I like that. I like that. That sounds very, very deep. I'm interested in knowing more about these special things that you're doing. Could you tell me more about that?
No, they're top secret. No, no, I mean, they've been talked about before, but it's just, that our underwriting. So we can't, pre-approvals are not cutting it anymore. So that when we submit an offer, you really need to be underwritten at the outset, because it's almost as like a cash offer.
Yeah, so fully pre-approved, gone through underwriting, the whole thing. So upping the game on the mortgage piece. So
Right.
that's what you bring to the table. You work with a lender who has committed to making you the best buyer that you can be, other than you having a big pile of cash. I love that.
The lender writes a letter, the lender is CC'd on the offer, he or she is involved from the get-go.
Ooh.
Things like, inspections, and just, if we're not waiving an inspection, how can we tailor it, the wording, so that it's still attractive, right? Maybe we do an aggregate or something. So it's a list of components that we're trying to check.
Right, so you bring this to the table for your buyer. You have knowledge. Your team has put together some very, very specific, skills in order to get you to be the best buyer that you can be. I think that is a fantastic value proposition right there. And it's actually a little bit unique. You have tied in your lender to give your clients the best that they can be. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Let's mastermind on that for hair.
We have something similar.
Yeah, let's see what you got, Joelle.
So our new, he is a broker, an independent broker. So he's
Yeah.
able to craft the offer in such a way that it makes it really easy for the seller to approve. He does a little video. He does what's called a loom, where he goes through the screen and allows the buyer to follow instructions via video on what the structure of their loan would be like and how to get underwriting. And he also offers these gifts that incentivize them to refer. So at every stage, every milestone in the transaction, he will send a small gift. Like he has this welcome package that has like hand sanitizer, a mask, and like the paraphernalia for COVID, and with and it's personalized to our team. Then he has, and he pays for it. It's like
So this
he
is
goes through like
this is your rainmaker or a lender?
a lender.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and we're gonna get to that a little bit later too, leveraging people, your vendor affiliates to help you be the best that you can be with your buyer. So what I want to do, we're gonna take a little 2-minute thing, and I want you to fine tune. I want all of you to really get into this a little bit and put together what value. We just had a couple of really good examples. Let's take a little 2-minute thing here, and let's get put to something a little bit more formal together. It doesn't have to be fabulous and perfect, but let's put something together. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes. Okay, how's everybody doing? Everybody put something nice together? Who wants to raise their hand and talk about what they're gonna do for their buyer? And they're gonna do another one with sellers. So what do you got? Who's gonna share?
Hey Deb, I came a little late because I thought it was 9 o'clock today. I forgot that they changed the hours, so sorry about that.
That's all right. Is that Mike?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we changed the clocks back there Saturday. Have you been running an hour off all weekend? I'm teasing. All right,
Pretty
guys.
much.
You still have your charger here too, by the way. All right, so is anybody gonna share? Come on. Oh, William, come on. There we go. We like it. Let's hear. I'm a buyer. What are you gonna do for me? Why
I'm
am I?
gonna make sure that our offer is competitive, but we're not overpricing it. We're not making an offer that's too high, that, for the market at the time.
Mhm. All right, that's pretty good. Who has something else to share? I'm almost,
Can
I
I-
want this to move toward, almost toward a like little presentation. Somebody said, somebody said something, I didn't see who it was.
I was gonna try to wing it because I was a little late, but
All right, wing it. I like winging it. What do you got?
so can you just fill me in again what we're doing? It's the buyer presentation.
Yeah, we're doing a buyer, having a little buyer consultation, and I want to know as a buyer what your value is. Why do I want to hire you as my buyer agent when there's 50 other people at this same party? Well, there's 34 people in this class, so there's 34 other people. Why do I want to work with you, Mike?
All right, so working with the real estate agent as a buyer's agent has many benefits just because of the fact that we can put you on MLS searches, so that way you can log in and be able to search for the properties on your own. I'll be able to send you over a username and password. I'll also send you daily updates on the market just in case, because I know the MLS search hasn't been working for some people, but I'll be able to send you updates daily. I'll be able to get you into properties that, spark your interest. We'll be able to limit the quantity of listings. That way we can figure out what's going to fit your criteria. And then on top of that, working with the buyer agent myself, I handle all the paperwork for you. I'll be able to submit the offer. And when it comes to the offer, I like to, just to be competitive, it's good to price it a little bit high, but we don't want to overdo it. If we go into an open house and you see a bunch of people there, that's your competition basically. So you got to be cautious about what you're offering. And, sometimes it can be a little intimidating, but to separate yourself from the competition, there's other things that you can do as well. And I'll be able to help you out with that process. That's
it.
all I got right now.
That's good. That's good for winging it. How does that sound? Does anybody want to work with Mike? I want to work with him. He sounds like he's kind of on it. What do you guys think? He's a good winging it guy. Somebody had their hands up and I don't know where it went. Juliet says yes. So somebody had their hand up and I don't know where it went. Hold on. Maybe that was just saying, oh, Carol, let's hear, do you have a value proposition that you're going to bring to the table?
Yeah, just a short, quick one. Then sadly, I have to leave to go meet a new client for a showing. So sadly, the timing wasn't great. However, here I am. So what I want to impart on them right off the bat is that just as the seller is going to have their listing agent in their corner working on their behalf, they need someone in their corner. They need someone working for them. And I work on an amazing team, so they don't just have me in their corner who is going to be extremely loyal to them, extremely honest with them. They have the expertise of myself and the team we've written so many offers, we've gotten so many clients under contract and successfully to close during a really, really competitive year last year. And we're really proud of that. So they've got the expertise of all of us on the team working for them, and holding their hand all the way through, from their first showing all the way through to closing. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
That sounds good, Carol. I'd work with you. That sounds good. I like your tone. You're confident. It's not rushed. It's not salesy. It's just like you're offering you as an agent. What else is Carol offering? What is she's got a good value there. I hope everyone's taking notes and R&Ding all of these great ideas, because ultimately that's what you're going to do. So, combine them all and see what feels right for you. What other things does Carol bring to the table that is important?
I like how she used the team thing. How we have a strong team that supports us, and that in most cases, we're successful in closing the deal. That kind of guy.
I like that too. I liked when she said that she set it up really well. And I think you guys should, borrow this. She says, as you know, the seller has somebody working for them. And I want you to know that I'm going to be working in your corner, and you have someone in your corner, not only just me, who I'll just be there for you as much as I can be, but you also have this really strong team behind me, whether you're on a team or, you're all part of a market center. Even if there's 3 people in your office, you're still part of a group that you can always go to, right? So good job there on that one. I thought, does anybody else have one more? And then we're going to shift the mindset a little bit. One more, anybody? Ashley, what do you got?
So I actually been needing a little bit of help on this, so I kind of just put different ideas together.
Yep.
And you guys can let me know what you think. So this is what I kind of have written down is, as a member of a great market center that has forward thinking and the best training around, I provide top shelf services to Massachusetts home buyers and sellers at an affordable cost. I'm fluent in Spanish and I'm prepared to explain the process thoroughly in your native language. And I'm also dedicated to putting my clients first by preserving good faith and trust.
I like it. Do you have any vendor relationships that also are speaking in your language?
Okay, I can add that.
I
Like
think
contractors and stuff.
Yep, you have contractors. I don't know if you have an attorney or I think you do in a lender. This is all part of your unique value that you really do bring to the table. In that, certainly not only you, but members of your whole team, your whole staff, so to speak, all of your vendor relationships. You want to just make sure you have everybody that can support that client that comes in. So what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to just do a quick 10-minute couple. We're going to go into some breakout rooms, and I want you guys to just get in there and just let's be quick about it. Let's raise our hands with each other and say, look, I'll be the agent, you be a buyer. And then just let's do some role playing here so we get it. So Ashley, you guys are good. So let's just really nail it down. So I'm going to get you into some breakout rooms. See how slick I am here. So we'll do sort of small rooms here, a little bit lower. And we're going to create some breakout rooms. And let's do some options. We're going to do a quick 10-minute thing. So get right into it. Let's take turns. I want everybody in the group to have done a buyer value proposition. Okay, let's go for it. That's fine. Hey, David. Hello. How are you? Good morning. That's good.
I'm done with all my other ones. Everything that's left. There is my time. Oh, Stacy. Yeah, okay, so the other one, I think I have.
All right. It's a new night. Yep.
Being recorded.
Oh. Being recorded. Okay. Well, we still have one room coming back in. I think it does it a little bit on a delay, I think. All right, here we go. We're all coming back in here. See how many people we got. How did that go, everybody?
Really
Who's,
well.
I think it really, really good.
you think it went well, Mike?
Yeah, I think it went really good.
All right, what does everybody else think? Christopher, you've got your hand raised. Tell me something good.
Yeah, we had a a good conversation about some things to include in a proposition discovery conversation.
Oh,
And I,
nice.
the overall categories would just be unique specific need from the buyer, general financing questions to connect with the lender, timing for when they expect or want to make a purchase, and then specific details to use to filter through the MLS to really hone down the search so you don't get flooded with options.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, Chris. Really, really like those. Who else has something? I see Ashley has her hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say more of a general sense, but I feel like we kind of talked about how kind of leading with the more optimistic, outlook on things, being more, saying positive things instead of leading with I'm new or, yes, my rate is a little bit more expensive. I think starting with, we have great training or like, my market center has this great, piece of data, and also really letting them know that like I'm gonna, guide you through this. We're gonna do this together. I'm gonna be here for you. I think that's the best way to go instead of, leading with a negative
Yeah.
idea.
I agreed. I like that word guide. You're going to guide them, and that's your value, and that's what you're going to do. And you can look at it. Okay, Emmanuel, you have your hand up. Let's hear what you have.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that at my group we all did good, and I think the most important thing for our group was making sure that if you're trying to represent a buyer, is to have confidence that gives them more confidence.
Yeah.
And I feel like confidence goes a long way into representing someone and having them allowing them to choose you to represent them.
Absolutely. You want to distinguish yourself. You want to give your people a really stellar experience, and the way to do that is by telling them what to expect. So let's shift it real quick as we're moving along here. We're really making good time. So let's talk now. That was a good buyer thing, and I want you guys to get better and better and work on that. You want to be able to really be clear when you meet somebody and they say, hi, I'm thinking about buying a house. And you say, why don't we have a meeting? I mean, you're going to go through all of this in buyer consultation class, but really at some point you have to be able to stand there and tell them how you're going to help them. You're going to help them, figure out how much they can afford. It's who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who are they? Who's buying this? What are you doing? What do you want? When do you want to? Why are you buying? We all know there's two reasons why people buy or sell, and that's good things and bad things are happening. When and how. You're the how. This is how I'm going to help you do it. So let's turn it around a little bit. We've been talking about buyers. Now, we all know the number one best return on your investment of your time, which is all you have now is time. You don't want to be spending a lot of money. What do we do for sellers? How does the dialogue change when you meet somebody and they say, I'm thinking about selling my house. What do you do for me? What is your thing? Anybody? Is it the same or is it different? Or let's mastermind on that briefly, because you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make you come up with that one. It's cold in my office. So Mike, what do you got?
So, I'm working with a couple sellers that hopefully we can get them on the contract. But one of them that I was speaking to recently was a guy out here in New Hampshire. He gave me some feedback, and I wasn't trying to sound too pushy or whatever. But sometimes sellers they'll feel that you're kind of pushing them into listing their home and everything like that. So one thing is like you might be really excited about selling their home and everything like that, but they might feel like you're being a little too pushy. So I'm trying to avoid doing that or whatever, but I kind of let them know like, hey, listen, I tell them, hey, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you sell your home, get you the best money that you can get for your property. And, I just want to just kind of go over the whole process of how it works. You know, you don't have to sign any contract right now at this time, but you know, I just want to have you have an idea of how this whole process works. So once you can go over that whole process with them and they have a better understanding, I feel like they at that point they might consider you a little bit more as a potential listing agent, if that
Mike,
makes sense.
do you feel, I mean, I know you're a confident person because I know you. And do you feel like that might hurt you?
I didn't like, to be honest with you, I didn't feel like I was being pushy, but you know, some people might feel like that.
Right.
I think I just needed to listen a little bit more rather than, you know, get too excited, because I remember him telling me, yeah, I'm not looking to sell for 3 to 6 months or whatever, but he wanted me to give him a CMA. And
Yeah.
I sent him the CMA and I let him know, like, hey, let's get a cup of coffee or whatever, and let's just talk it over. So in my head, I thought I was doing the right thing, but in his head, he thinks that I was trying to get him under contract like ASAP.
Yeah.
So
So
I
it
just
was,
need to be cautious.
yeah, we'll work on that delivery a little bit. And there is some general feeling that real estate people can be a little aggressive. And that is a good thing in real estate, because you want somebody that's going to be confident in their abilities. You know, it's a balance. It certainly is a balance. So you've got your value proposition for your buyers, and it isn't something you just say, really. It's something that you have to deliver on. So now that you're able to explain it, how do you apply it? So let's stick with the buyer thing. We're going to move it over to sellers again after. So, you know, if you're working with a buyer and you're going to deliver this fantastic experience, now you're going to deliver this value. Like what kinds of knowledge, what kind of things are you expected to know as a buyer agent? What do you need to know to give this buyer their best experience? Let's pick 5 things that you need to know to be a good buyer agent. And this is all going to mush into your value proposition. What do you need to know as a buyer agent?
The local market, how to price it well.
Local market. So on the buyer side still, you need to know the market, what's the heck's going on. What else do you need to know as a buyer agent that's you know, as part of your sort of your value that you only know because you're a buyer agent, sort of? What are you expected? What kinds of knowledge set you apart from the competition?
I remember one of the buyers asking me a question about how the schools are in the area. So I know a lot of buyers, they might be interested in whether or not this is going to be a good district for my children to go to school in. So usually I tell them that, hey, from what I know, this is a good area for schooling, but your best chance is to just do your homework and kind of research the area and see if it works for you. Like, you know, there's websites that can give you school ratings and stuff like that, especially if I don't know.
And even if you did have 10 kids in the school system, you really, what your kid needs and what their child, who they may not even have a child yet, but you know, you don't know what their needs are, and you're going to be the source of the source for them. You find them a couple of websites, you run around the office and you find somebody who really does have interest in the schools, you know, and let's get a good website to send over to your clients. That's a tricky topic right there. You have people that have kids that are very sports or very musical or have different needs, and you particularly, because you know you don't have any kids in the school system, but even if you did, you still want to direct them to do their own homework. What other kinds of things, but that's a good point, Mike, what other kinds of knowledges for your buyers do you are they going to want you to know about? General market, local market. They're going to ask you about schools. What else?
I think it's not necessarily that we know it better than any other agent, but that we're communicating it is the process, because I feel like there's this, that's why they're not necessarily trusting of us right away, because it's kind of, it's, you know, mystique behind this process. And so if we can break it down for them step by step as to what to expect
That is a fantastic value proposition right there. Look at, I'm going to help you with this process. It's overwhelming, it's scary, it's all of the above. I know what I'm doing. You have me in your corner, you know, and not just me, you have everybody on my team. We have a very well-rounded, highly experienced team, and we'll get you where you need to be. So these are all the things that you're going to learn to put into your sort of language. You know, they're going to ask you about interest rates. They're going to ask you about moving, you know, vans or companies. They're going to ask you a lot of stuff. And that's where we're going to get to the next piece about making sure, and we talked about it a bit with Ashley, if you have somebody on your team as what we call the allied resources, these are people that help you get your job done. And it starts mostly, the very first people you need is a good 4 or 5 lenders in your phone. You have their cell phones, you know, we'll get into that. But now I want to get back or just circle really quickly regarding the seller value proposition. Now let's brainstorm this real quick, and then we're going to do another breakout room. What are the things that you need to do to distinguish yourself as an agent for a seller? I'm a seller. I want to sell my home. I want to know, like, what do you got? What do you bring to the table for me? And what does that look like? And remember, this is a 5-minute chat. This is just the beginning stages of what you can say to somebody. You want to be ready for that. What do you say? Just let's throw some. Are they the same words that you used with your buyers? What do you guys think? Ashley, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I guess you kind of already mentioned it, but like, and other people too, just like kind of being confident, leading with the positives, kind of getting straight to the point, like, hey, you know, that's so exciting. Sorry. It's so exciting that, you know, it sounds great that you're getting ready to sell your house. I know that you may be a little bit overwhelmed or may have some questions. I just want to let you know that, you know, I'm part of a really great team with amazing resources. We're very well-rounded. And I, you know, would love to offer you my services and, you know, put together a great CMA that compares the different prices and listing prices in the area, and make sure that you're getting, you know, the highest dollar amount on your property, kind of like that.
I love it. Perfect. I would just practice those words. Does everybody agree that sounds like a really great thing to say? You know, your value proposition can be short and sweet because you may need to do it unexpectedly, as I said, at a cookout or somewhere. You know, you're going to see an opportunity, and you're going to want to make sure that you have these. It's a script, you know, it's your script though. It's your own. You can't find it in a book, in the script book. I mean, maybe there's one in there. William, what do you have to say?
Yes, I would say to the seller, this is a great seller's market right now. I have the whole team in the office behind me. We're going to give your home the exposure that it needs, but there's nothing more important than pricing the house right. That's probably most important. And then, you know, hope in this market, we're probably going to get more than we're asking, but the price, that initial price set has got to be on the money.
Right. Buyers are super knowledgeable. They know more about your house than you do. Christopher, thank you, William. That was good. What do you got, Christopher?
Along with value, as William mentioned, timing. So if the seller's looking, you know, to speed up the process, I mean, having seller representation is absolutely going to do that. Or even to time it better, you know, to slow it down. Like, I need to sell it in 45 days versus this many. It'll cater to that also, you know, setting expectations with the buyer, ensuring that financing occurs at the right time.
Yeah.
So timing's a real important thing that sellers can bring.
Absolutely. That's super. That's a big piece. Everybody thinks it's all about price. It's very much about the terms, meaning timing and conditions of what the buyers or the seller wants. I'm keep going back to the, you know, I'm in your corner. I'm in your corner. Not only do you have me, but you have, I'm going to redo mine, I think. Someone in your corner, not just me, but a full team behind me. Eric, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to throw you know, I'm looking at the workbook talking about what sellers want, what sellers value. And given the fact that probably a large portion of this group is new or new-ish, you know, reputation of agent is something that sellers value. It's the highest thing that shows the seller's value, but you can address that proactively by saying, you know, I don't, I work at Keller Williams, and I don't know if you know this, but that's the largest real estate company in the world. And so I'm going to bring those resources that we have available in marketing your home to the widest number of people possible. So you're kind of addressing the top two things in what's the number one thing in what sellers want and the number one thing in what sellers value.
Yep. Yep, that's a good, yeah, you guys should dig out, even though the thing is old, it's been the same thing for 100 years. People, you know, sellers want a good agent that's going to do their job and be honest and trustworthy, for sure. Mike, you had a comment.
Yeah, another thing I was going to add to that was, you know, what's their motivation? Are they highly motivated in selling their home? And, you know, again, like figuring out what their needs are, et cetera. I know there's going to be like objections and stuff like that. Like, I know one of them is like, you know, how are you going to market my house differently from what I'm doing currently, you know? And you can bring up good points like, you know, we have professional photography that we have to pull out of our own pocket to pay for those expenses, right? We use Google ad clicks and social media ad clicks that gives the home a lot of exposure, you know, and it targets specifically to buyers who are qualified for you know the purchase of your home, because you know, and you know, as a real estate agent, we work with only qualified buyers, right? So we're not, you know, if you sell your home on your own, you have to worry about whether or not that person is going to be able to even afford your home and waste your time. Versus if you were to hire a real estate agent, we work with qualified buyers because buyer agents bring only qualified buyers, right? So that way we know that they can afford the home, they'll be willing to make an offer. And another one was, you know, like CMAs, right? I think CMAs are important because it shows their competition, you know, whether or not, you know, and it shows properties that have been listed for a while. You know, like there's sellers that are in fantasy land, and then there's realistic listings, right?
You can certainly bring a lot to the table in terms of all of the data that we can certainly provide. We spearhead and manage and maintain the multiple listing service, which is really the Kelly Blue Book of homes, right? I've used that term before, and I think it does speak to people. Everything they see out there isn't necessarily accurate. We come to the table with the most accurate information. So let's do a quick breakout. I'd like you guys to focus on doing some scripts and role play with somebody's an agent and somebody's going to sell their house. And let's do this isn't an hour presentation. This is just a quick, you have an opportunity to work with the seller, and you're going to tell them in nice, easy to understand for the consumer, because they don't always get MLS. They don't know all these lingos that we use. So let's make sure that we're speaking in a language they understand. So let's get into some, let me go into, get the old breakout rooms going. You guys will be going back in. Let's just make it happen, and let's work on that, and then we'll review. And then I just want to, as we move forward and we kind of wrap up early, maybe, we're going to talk about these allied resources, you know, and how to really make sure that they're going to do what we need to do. Let's see what's going to happen here.
Being recorded.
No, I just see a sign that says William Gonzalez.
All right, looks like everybody's rolling back into town here. God, I've been recording. All right, how'd everybody do? Let's hear some good stuff. Who's getting listings from their people in their breakout rooms, their fake people? Yay, Chris, we're on it. So how did everybody find that exercise? Is everybody back? Yeah, they're coming.
I think it's good because it gets everybody's jitters out, you know, because it's kind of nerve wracking when you're talking to a seller and stuff like that. But you got to feel 100% confident, even if you're nervous.
Yeah, you've got to find your words. That's why it's good to practice with each other. And again, always find somebody that'll listen to you and let you practice with them. Eric, how did you do?
Yeah, our room did really good. I think everybody brought some really useful information to the table. I mean, we highlighted talking about, you know, the value of bringing all of Carol Williams, you know, experience and resources to the table.
Yeah.
We talked, you know, we highlighted things like getting the, you know, the best offer for the client, which isn't always the highest price, but we're going to get the best one for the client on their timeline. We're going to really work with them, again, emphasizing that partnership. And then something we touched on at the end was, you know, after you've gone through and you've presented this amazing picture of yourself, ask them for the listing.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask. And sometimes you don't have to talk for 7 hours. Sometimes you just talk to them and they are into it. And you know, sometimes people, it's that old listening thing. So that's good. So you feel confident in your seller, in your value proposition, or do you still want to fine tune? I'm assuming.
Oh, fine tune.
Let's fine tune. Yeah, and it doesn't have to, there's two things. There's the just knowing your value and being able to deliver it. And then there's the full, you know, seller consultation, which is coming up probably next week, I bet. I don't know. Yeah, coming up toward the end of the week. So give me somebody else. Chris, you said yours went well. Tell me a little bit about it. What's your value? Why do I want to work with you?
So, I mean, a lot of the items that we had discussed before going into the session, it was good to put those into words, because I mean, if you say them once, it makes it much easier than when it's real. I mean, you can refer back to, it's just, for me, it helps a lot. And to double on what Eric
You
was
never
saying,
did that, just did you?
What?
Um,
Hold on, we got somebody
Who is
else. Hold on, go ahead.
well, doubling on what Eric said, I mean, there's been books written about being able to ask for the sale. I mean, for this, it's asking for why you're calling. So I would agree with that 100%. When I guess when I raised my hand, where in the role play, I received the listing. I guess what I meant is I received the face-to-face meeting in the hypothetical that we had put together.
Yep.
And from what I understand, that really increases your chance if you can gain commitment to actually meet with a prospect. So that was the success that I get out of the conversation and the role play.
Absolutely, Christopher. That is exactly what we're doing here with this value proposition, a reason to say, let's sit down. You know, we can talk to people all day long, have Facebook post, everything. But until you're sitting in front of somebody and can really deliver that to them, and then you come in with everything that you bring to the table. Wonderful. I'm really glad that you guys are really digging into this and stepping into those role plays. You get used to that. After a while, you'll have characters. And like I said the other day, who else? Let's have one more. And then I just want to move along a little bit to the allied resources, because if you're delivering a particular value, you better make sure everybody around you is. Let's have one more, somebody who hasn't had anything to say. Let's think about who brought in a nice value that might be new. Anybody? In another room?
This is Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm doing the coaching thing where you just stare till somebody cracks. What you got, Sharon? Let's hear what you've got. It's gonna be good.
When you get the call, I think you have to dig into what they really want to do. Not everyone who calls a real estate agent wants to sell the house. They start out that way, but you want to get more detail as to what's the time frame. Why do you want to sell your house? What do you think are the good features in your house? Why would you want a real estate agent? What do you expect of me? And that way you can kind of tailor it more, and it's more specific to them. Like people like custom made plans for them, I think.
I like that. And that's a value in itself. Asking them, what is the number one thing you want from your real estate agent?
Yes.
And you can just tailor it to them. I think thank you for sharing, Sharon. Yeah, you have, and they don't care what you know until they know that you care. I say that all the time, but it's true. In this real estate game, everybody's fabulous, and the whole, a client needs to know that you care about them, their family, their dog, their kids, the whole thing. And getting better and better at these words, even though it's weird to go and do scripts, it's really helpful. We cannot stress it enough. And in my market center on Wednesdays, we do scripts and role plays, and we sit and we just bang right into it. And it's so helpful once you get your words down, because basically you'll just say the same thing forever. Not forever, but you're really going to, for a while, really utilize that presentation. And it can be short, and then of course you capture your appointment, like Christopher said, and now you get into the full seller consultation. You really get into the nitty gritty of where they're going. So part of your value, and we'll be able to kind of wrap this up a little bit, which is cool. We want to talk about these allied resources. We were talking to Ashley having, people who, different people in her group. So what are 3 to 5 standards any business you partner with must meet to uphold the promise that you're giving to your people? What do you want to make sure that that you're going to recommend, because you are going to be recommending people? That's what this is about a little bit. You're going to be recommending people. Ashley, what are 3 or 4 or 5 standards that you want your folks to be able to do?
I would say that I would want my people to be very timely. So like if I email them, to contact, get in contact with this client, I want them to email them back with that same hour, not, 2 days later.
Yeah. Write these things down, guys, because this is what you're going to formulate too for your own. Everything everybody says, you're probably going to want 2 or 3 of them. Go ahead, Ashley. What else might you want from your peeps?
I guess maybe diversity with different programs, a lot of knowledge in each and every one of them. Like someone mentioned, like being very specific and like creating a game plan for, a customized game plan for your people. So I guess that would be one. And then I guess maybe just like confidence or like, security, and knowing that, they're going to see me through this entire transaction. I don't have to go find someone else in case this flops.
Yep. All right. I like that. Who bring me some more? Who else has something that they want their business partners to be in the same, thought process as you? Eric, what do you have?
So she hit quite a few of them that I had on my list, but one of them, and it kind of goes, I think, hand in hand with what Ashley had said with being timely, is being available. I mean, getting things done is great, but if I can't get a hold of you, who cares?
You know what, if I'm meeting with anybody that's, any kind of business person, an attorney, I want to know, how available are you? Can I call you on your cell phone? I'm not going to call you at midnight on Saturday, but can I call you at 2 on Saturday or 7? I promise I won't do it unless I really need to. So availability, I think, is absolutely number 1. And I think, and then getting things done in a timely manner, I think is right in there. Who else has some things that we want to not demand, but kind of demand? If they're not going to be what you are, then you need to find a different allied resource. A couple more.
I think strong communication. So I'm thinking specifically of lenders, again, where the process is convoluted and confusing, even to those of us in it. I think, the ability to streamline it, communication is key, but the ability to streamline it and make it understandable to the layman is important.
Right, in the regular language that people can understand. Lenders are the same way. They kind of talk about FHA and this, say, and underwriting, blah, 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 and a lot of people really don't get it, nor do they need to. We just want to make sure that and particularly with lenders, who did they rely on? Who are their attorneys? Who are their appraisals? How big, so it can go several levels. What other allied resources beside lenders do we need in our little world, our little team here? First thing, lender. What's the next thing we need?
Inspector.
Home inspectors. What do you want from them?
Tempered, what do I want? I want tempered information. I want information, but I shouldn't say information. I want all the information provided to the seller, or the homeowner, buyer. But I don't want the drama that's sometimes associated with finding, that's what I want. I want.
Yeah, what's a nice way of, how do we say that?
Even temperament. I don't know.
Oh, go ahead. How do we find a home inspector that's going to be even tempered, not an alarmist, not too sloppy, thorough, but not, Mike, what do you got? Or is that you waving at somebody?
Yeah, no. So there's two things. I know. We have to let them decide whether or not they want us to recommend a home inspector, right? We can't just throw them a home inspector.
Well, you want to give them a couple of home inspectors. You're a buyer agent. If you're the buyer agent in this case, you have fiduciary duty of care and diligence and confidential, and all of those things. So I certainly would say, here's my 3 top home inspectors. Give them a call. Get them in there.
So one thing that you taught me that I think was pretty cool that I used was the fact that to stand out from the crowd is to avoid the home inspection entirely. If they want to, you don't want them to make that decision. You want them to make that decision on their own, but you kind of want to put it on the table. That way they might stand out.
Yeah, he's talking about, writing up an offer. And I feel though, even though we hate to do it, we have to disclose to a buyer that other buyers are waiving their home inspections, and not that you recommend it. There, we could, there's wording around it that we can make it better, but, be careful with that. We don't want any buyer saying, hey, my guy said I didn't need to do a home inspection, because now we're in, lawsuit central. So what other things do we want from a home inspector? Eric, you've had your hand raised.
Yeah, so same as our 3 to 5 standards, availability. I mean, the best inspector in the world is not doing you any good if his earliest availability is 2025.
Yeah, exactly. So we want availability. It's almost the same. Communication, diversity in what he knows, confidence in what they're doing, he or she. It's not always guys. What other people do we need besides, lenders, home inspectors? What's the next sort of in that same little pile? And this can be for sellers, obviously, as well.
Attorney.
Appraisers.
Yep. Somebody said appraisers and somebody said attorney.
Movers.
What was that?
Movers.
Yeah, movers. Let's talk a little bit about attorneys, our favorite people in the world. We need good attorneys who typically, when you have a buyer, just if you guys haven't done a deal, if you have a buyer and they have a mortgage, that buyer is going to be assigned an attorney that's going to close the deal. And it's not free. It's part of their closing costs, but the buyer attorney that's working for the bank often takes on that sort of role of an advisor to the buyers. And, they can review the purchase and sale and do some things for that buyer as well. So we want to always know with our lender who do you use for attorneys? And often lenders will say, who do you want us to use? If you like somebody, we'll put them on the list. They have to go through some little thing to get approved, but in general, you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the best that you can. Obviously, in our market center, we have an attorney that has satellite office here, but you know, you yourself, you need 4 or 5 attorneys. You need 4 or 5 home inspectors. You need 4 or 5 of everybody. And guess what? All those people are going to be added to your database. What do we want from attorneys?
That's timely. They work in a timely manner and they
Same
communicate.
stuff. Yeah, availability. That you can have the best attorney in the world, but if he never calls you back or you never hear from them, you know, that's not going to work. Confidence, experience. Also, with an attorney, just like a lender, you've got people behind them, you know, paralegals, 2 or 3 different paralegals that are processing everything. You know, the attorneys sometimes like the don't let Dave hear through the wall. Sometimes they're like the doctor that comes in and delivers a baby after the nurse has been running around for 24 hours. Just a joke. I don't really mean that, but you want to make sure your attorney has good staff that is responsive, they communicate, and they're kind, and they're going to help your clients. Everybody's all about your clients. Somebody had a comment. Was it Sharon? You chimed in and then you went away.
I didn't realize that they have real estate attorneys, and if you get them, they're a lot more efficient than if you get a general attorney.
Oh God, yeah.
And I think people think a lawyer is a lawyer, but it's not.
You're right. It's like a doctor isn't a doctor. If you need to go to your foot guy, you have to go to the foot people. Yeah, that's a very good point, Sharon. And when you have a lender, they always are using, and this is Massachusetts. We all have lenders and they use attorneys. Other states use title companies, and it's a different thing. So it really depends on where you're at, but a good attorney can save the day and really help. And you want to, yeah, same thing, availability. And
do you recommend, sorry, I'm a little confused. Do you recommend using the lenders? Do you recommend the lender's attorney for the buyer, or do you recommend that the buyer find their own attorney?
Well, that is a discussion, and I bet if you talk to everybody in your office, you'll get 50 different answers. The lender has issued the attorney, and the attorney is going to do what's best for the buyer. I'm sorry, the bank. They work for the bank, not for the bank, but they're working on behalf of the bank. So their fiduciary duty really is to the bank. But normally what's good for the bank is good for the buyer, you know? So you can kind of look at it both ways. I would check with different, you know, your market center, your coach, your TL, your own attorney, most in Massachusetts, most people just use the lender's attorney, but I've certainly seen people have their own that come in with their own attorney. So, and same thing with the seller has no representation typically, but if a buyer has an attorney, then the seller usually needs to get one, because, you know, now we're getting into languages that it's out of our scope of, out of our scope. So I didn't really answer that well, Lisa, because it really is up to the buyer themselves, how complicated their deal is, what their experience level. If they've sold 10 houses, it's just going to take whoever, or they might even have their own attorney that they have already. So it's personal.
If you use the lender's attorney, sometimes the buyer is getting a discounted, I'm going to say
a little bit, yeah,
a little bit of a discounted rate, right? For the
they do, because attorneys love buyers because they love the title insurance that they get on that. So we're building our teams. You've got your team in your office, but you as each individual agent is building your team of your support staff. And again, it's not just one. You've got to have, trust me, you're going to be in this business a long time. You want different types of attorneys too. You want different types of home inspectors. Sometimes you may have a first-time home buyer that really needs every inch of the place checked, and you may have one that just wants a quickie around and check it out thing. So you really, you want to build. That is all part of building your own sphere and your own allied resources. So let me do a quick screen share. Any thoughts on this at this point? As I'm babbling on here. Anything, so basically this class is about delivering your value proposition and understanding what you bring to the table. So that is all part of it. It's all your value. So let's talk a little bit about, we all know our little daily things that we're supposed to be doing. Again, you're never going to not see this thing. You want to contact people every day. You want to have conversations every day. Don't forget handwritten notes, and let's make sure we're previewing properties. So even if you go into one and it's just not the prettiest house in the world, right, Mike? You tripping over stuff and yuck, right? It's good to go into those properties because it'll prompt you to call somebody else. It may not be for that buyer, but it could be for somebody else. So again, we want to make sure that every day we're learning to lead generate. We're going to uncover motivations. We want to identify objections. We want to close deals. And this is kind of today's topic a little bit. Speak in terms that customers understand. And all of these things are going to build confidence for yourself. Hold on. Where's my thing? I lost my page. Okay. How has your thinking changed today? What ideas or mindsets are new to you? Let's hear from the group. How has your thinking changed? And I want to be specific to your value proposition. Anybody want to share? I see Mike's hands up.
Sorry, I know I've been popping in here a lot, but I feel like because I have these listing appointments coming up, and I feel a little bit more confident now because we discussed the whole thing with our team.
Yeah,
broke into those rooms, so I feel a lot better that I got those little jitters out. So I'm meeting with the dude tomorrow, so I'm gonna hit him with it and see how it goes.
Awesome. And you've got a good value you've got a lot to offer, and just be confident in who you are, and we'll make it happen. Joelle, how has your thinking changed? You know, what ideas or mindsets are new to you?
Using Zoom. So Lisa suggested using Zoom in order to be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? To make the process go faster, to get them to sign the listing or the buyer's agreements. You say to them, you know, this is, so the next steps are, and you just say, we're going to email you the agreements, look it over and highlight anything you have questions about. And I will get back to you tomorrow. But, you know, in the process of using Zoom, you can get their full attention, and they don't have to necessarily come to the office, which many of them, like I almost lost that showing, although I mean, it was a tiny place, but it didn't matter to me, that I almost lost them because they didn't want to go to the office. So, you know, using Zoom is a good place to get them to
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good to know. We do have some buyer agents that are in fact doing that. Eric, how has your thinking changed today?
Well, I think that going through these exercises just kind of made it more keenly aware of the fact that, you know, when you're dealing with either buyers or sellers, it's not just me, it's everything I bring. And so just that mindset of knowing, like, I'm not talking about me as if I'm on an island. I'm talking about me, my resources, my team, my associations, everything comes with me. And so just thinking more about it as like, you're getting all of this, not just the guy sitting in front of you.
All right. So that's a really a good mindset shift, I think. And everybody can, you know, every office is, even if you had 3 people, like I said, you're not on an island. And thank you for sharing that. I think that's important. Juliet, you have your hand raised. What has changed? How has your thinking changed?
Hi. My old mindset regarding my business partners, they should be timely in getting back to me, and they should be available. That really speaks to me. In my personal business also. I'm available, but sometimes I'm not. So that stands out to me. Also, the language, the real estate language, it's complicated for a normal person.
Yeah.
So I would expect my peeps to be, very clear or speaking the language so my clients can understand.
I agree. I think that's a very good takeaway from this. And it's a good reminder because we're training so much about all the language and all the words and all the terms. You think, nobody else knows that stuff. So let's see, who has something that they might feel differently about, and what was meaningful for you today? Tell me something that has made you think, really feel something different and meaningful. Juliet, you have your hand raised. I don't know if it's new or from before. Oh, I got other people. Hold on. Ashley, what do you feel differently about today? And
Yeah, I would say that I feel a little bit different about kind of like what everyone else is saying is like the language. Like I am more specific in like kind of what I have to offer. It's not just being bilingual. It's not just, being a college graduate. It's the information that I can bring. It's my experiences, my skills. Kind of like what Eric said, I have a whole team behind me. I have a whole support system. It's not just me. So it makes me feel a little bit more confident in like who I am and what I bring to the table.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm glad that meant something to you because that will move you forward. Sometimes you have to hit a little ooh, and then you move through it. So that's good. So how will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions are you guys going to take going forward? Christopher.
So this helped me put into perspective, before making a call, identifying, what type of, customer are you calling? Is this going to be a buyer? Is this going to be a seller? How that's going to shape what you want to pull out of the conversation, and the value props that you can put together before, just so you're ready. It's all about being quick on the phone, especially when you're prospecting.
Right.
So just, I guess it would greatly help my pre-call prep.
Yeah, preparation. Always be prepared to know who you're dealing with. So that's an action you're going to take moving forward. You're going to be more prepared. Anybody else have an action that they're going to take forward from this? Michael.
I think I'm gonna slow down because I know the way when I talk to people, they might feel like it's pushy or whatever. So I think I'm gonna slow it down a little bit and kind of be a little bit more understanding. I definitely am gonna keep leveraging my team and everybody that's been helping me a lot. That has been a great help. And yeah, I think I'll just keep calling because I feel like it's a numbers game, and then somebody's gonna be willing to list with you, or they want to hire you as a buyer's agent. So, and one thing I wanted to add too with Eric, I like I still have that in my mind, Eric, the car thing that you said I think it was last week. I swear I'm going to use that.
I've used that a whole bunch of times. That's been interesting. He's a born teacher, that Eric. Yeah, so I like that, Mike. Yeah, I think you do have a fast speaking, what's the word? I don't know, you know what I mean? Kate, I don't know what the word is, but you do tend to speak a little fast, which is going to make people think you're not listening to them. So that's, find that balance. That's a little coaching moment for everybody, not just Mike. Sometimes we get excited. We just want to ramble on. But you do need to just kind of, just find that balance a little bit and stop. There's a thing, it's called WAIT. It says, why am I talking? And I have to remind myself of that, it's a radio station, WAIT. Why am I talking? And if you kind of remember that, and it's because we're excited and we want to help people. It's not like, we do genuinely want to help people, and so as we go forward, what tools, models, or systems will you guys use to make this better? What kind of systems are you going to do to make sure that you're really developing your value proposition and getting you to the next level? So what tools, models, or systems will you use? Mike, do you have your hand up still, or is this a new thing? Okay, anybody else? Who's got some comment? What tools, models, or systems are you going to use? Christopher. What do you got?
The only thing that comes to mind in terms of models would be in the breakout room 3, when we were discussing buyer propositions. I think we came across 4 categories that are helpful. So modeling, 4 things you want to pull out of a prospecting buyer representation conversation.
Mhm.
And that would be the buyer's need, whether it's unique or broad, in terms of a property they're looking for.
Okay.
Financing items. So anything that would bring you closer to discussion about financing or lending.
Yeah.
Timing, confirming timing.
Yeah.
And then any other odd details. And then having those 4 categories in your mind when you initially reach out would greatly help you get to the point where you can ask for a face-to-face meeting.
Exactly. So where, Christopher, are you going to keep these notes so you can remember those things that you just said? This is where we get into systems. Oh, there we go, in your notebook. That's what we like. All right, awesome. So basically at this point of the class, we're supposed to be going over contracts, kind of, but it's very difficult when we're doing it in multi-state class. So what I'm going to recommend you guys, let's just do, whoops, let me go to stop screen share. So basically, talking about, we're going to just do a little review and then I'll let you guys go on your way. We talked about your, oops, somebody, Ashley, got your hand raised.
I just don't have access to the workbook. So, yeah, so I need that whenever you have a chance.
All right, I have it in this, I can put it in the chat.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I'll try to get you everything, Ashley. I think I told you that before and I don't think I did. But anyways, let's review kind of our overview. So class really today is about delivering your value. I think we're getting a good sense of that. And I just have a couple of bullets that I want to kind of go over. And I think you guys, hopefully you've taken notes and put it a little yellow in. These are the things that I'm sort of taking away. I like when we were talking about working with buyers that I love that, sellers have people representing them. I'm going to be that someone in your corner and I'm going to help you. And it's not just me, it's my whole team behind me. I think we've got a good handle on that one. I liked, I don't know, somebody had said I can give you access to MLS and I can help, you're getting into like how you're really going to help them. I really like everybody's focus on confidence and understanding the more we're doing here, the more confident we're going to be and utilizing the tools to do it. I like the preparation of it all. Let's be prepared. Let's have our thoughts together before. You always be at the ready. Same thing with sellers. Same thing. We want confidence in ourselves and in our team within ourselves. And the other thing, reviewing and making sure we have really, really good allied resources that are going to deliver the same standard that you're going to deliver to your clients. And we talked a bit before, if you don't have anybody, if you don't know any attorneys or home inspectors or bug inspectors or whatever it is, ask agents in your office. Cruise around the office and say, who do you like for home inspectors? And I guarantee, and you can say, why do you like them? Really, and then you can always call those inspectors and say, hey, I'm new and I work over at Keller Williams and just checking in and see how your schedule is. If in fact I have a buyer and that's how you're building your database. That's how you're building your whole world. So last minute, anybody else have anything they want to report or share or talk about? And then we'll let you go early. Class gets out early.
I had a question in regards to something we discussed in a previous day of Ignite.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else has anything more pertinent to today first.
Okay. What do you got, Chris?
if we had or if we need a referral to have someone in another state work with a Keller Williams agent in some fashion, so like I know somebody who's trying to purchase a house in another state, what was the resource that we can refer to for kind of
You
sharing that?
can, yeah, you can go into command and over on the left in the drop down there, there's a little button called referrals.
Okay,
And you can search by the state and, you know, kind of zero in on the town and just reach out. And there's a lot of different ways, sort of Google the town too, find a Keller Williams agent, and then call out there and say you have a buyer referral. And depending on your buyer out there, you know, kind of maybe guide that whoever answers the phone, ask for the productivity coach or the team leader and say, hey, I've got a referral. And this is my, whoever it is, your friend, your cousin or somebody, and you'd like them to help them buy a house. And then
so it's best if we connect with the agent first.
I would
Does
vet them.
Does anyone have any firsthand experiences with this that I guess could share a story of what that was like?
So I wasn't with Keller yet. And so when I did this, I didn't have access to command, but the rest of what I'm about to say kind of still works.
Yeah.
So my mom purchased a home last year in a different state. And so I had to find her some representation. And so I had access to a chat group, a Keller Williams chat group. And so I asked, you know, who should I be speaking to in this area? And then they gave me a handful of names. And then I took those names and I Googled them and I read up what I could and I stalked them on Facebook and whatever. But I got all the information I could, which you can get in command. So that part you have direct access to in command. You can see the transactions they've done, what areas they serve. You know, you really get a real nice kind of cross section of their life as an agent. But anyway, then I called them up and I interviewed them.
Yeah.
You know, then kind of take the mantle as if you're the buyer. Say, hey, you know, I've got somebody, like for my mom, I said, you know, I've got somebody, she's in her 80s. She's really going to need her hand to be held. You know, is that you? Are you, you know, do you have the time and the patience to say things that you probably said yesterday again? And then you'll probably say them again tomorrow, because my mom just isn't, she's at the point where she needs that constant reminder of where we're at, what we're doing, what's next on the, you know, what's next on the plate. And so I went through and I kind of gave her a profile of my buyer and said, this is what I'm bringing. I need somebody who fits. And then just went through, you know, tell me why that's you. And so then I interviewed them, narrowed it down to a couple, presented those to my mom. And you don't necessarily need to do that. I mean, if you want to make the decision, just, you know, go with one referral, so be it. But I mean, but then I kind of found a couple leading candidates and then went from there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's how you do it. You do some research, you stalk them, check them out on Facebook, make sure they're behaving themselves, and then call them, interview them. And then when they say, sure, I'd love to help your buyer, say, okay, I'm going to send you over some paperwork with the information. And they have to sign something to say that they received the referral and they're going to pay you a referral fee of 25%. And to check with your market center for your particular referral form. Does that make sense? Good. So guys, I want you to really hone in on your value, and how you want to present it in a short, concise, easy for people to understand. I think we've got some great bullet points to work off of, and just keep at it. It's part of your daily scripting and what you're going to say to people. And the better you are, and the better you feel about it in yourself internally, the better it's just simply going to come out. And before you know it, you're going to be having tons of business, because you're laying some really good, I know it takes all morning, just ignite, but it really does lay a lot of groundwork. And I appreciate everybody with a lot of interaction, a lot of questions, and giving a lot of feedback. I think that's been very helpful for me as well. And if you guys are thinking of a question, somebody else is, so it's good. We all do well when we all sort of speak up and say what we're doing. So anybody have any last questions or comments? All right, anything? All right, awesome. So I can be, if you're ever looking for me, I'm up in Westford with Mike and Eric and Ashley. So 614 was representing today. So I can be reached at debhayes@kw.com. So give me a call or email me if you need anything. So have a great day, guys. Get your thoughts and go forward and conquer.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
see you later,
Deb.
guys.
Thanks,
you.
Deb.
Bye-bye.